revelation hit me like a sledgehammer, shattering through the wall of fury that had consumed me moments before. Skyler, the woman I had spent years searching for, the woman who had disappeared without a trace, leaving a void that I had filled with anger, power, and control. Where? I forced the word out, my voice raw and hoarse. Tony hesitated, knowing the gravity of what he was about to say. She's in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We tracked her to a secluded estate in the hills. The place is heavily guarded, but there's no doubt it's her. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My mind was a whirlwind of emotions, disbelief and anger. But above all, I need to get to that bitch right away. Send me the address, I demanded, my voice barely more than a growl. My heart pounded in my chest, a chaotic drumbeat that drowned out all rational thought. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed to see her. My phone chimed with a notification right away. I glanced down and saw the location in Rio de Janeiro glowed on the map, a pinprick of light in the vastness of the world. My fingers hovered over the screen, the implications of what this meant sinking in. Without wasting a second, I typed back a reply. Get the jet ready. I'm on my way. As soon as I hit send, I slammed the car into gear and gunned the engine, the tires screeching against the asphalt as I sped toward the airport. The night blurred around me, but my focus was razor sharp. Skyler. The name pulsed in my mind like a heartbeat, drowning out everything else. But as the miles ticked by, something else started to claw its way into my thoughts. Something I had tried to push down, to bury under the weight of my anger. Ariana, the woman I had forced into my life, the one I had used as a replacement, a pawn in a twisted game of power and control, the one's life I had ruined. Fuck! I cursed loudly, slamming my fist against the steering wheel. The sharp pain in my knuckles did nothing to quell the frustration boiling inside me. What the hell was I doing? Skyler may have been my wife, whom I wanted to get hold of so badly, but Ariana, I had destroyed her life on a lie, thinking she was something she wasn't. My grip tightened on the wheel, the leather creaking under the pressure of my fingers. I couldn't just leave, not like this, not without dealing with the mess I had created. Without thinking, I yanked the wheel to the right, tires screeching as I made a sudden U-turn, heading back toward my house. As I drove, I pulled out my phone and typed another message to Tony. Cancel the trip. As I pulled into the driveway of my house, I killed the engine, the silence pressing down on me like a weight. My hand trembled slightly as I reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a cigarette. I lit it with a flick of my lighter, the end glowing bright in the darkened interior of the car. I took a long drag, the smoke filling my lungs with a bitter comfort. I exhaled slowly, watching the smoke curl up toward the ceiling of the car. Leaning back in the seat, I ran a hand through my hair, my mind racing. Everything was spiraling out of control, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like I was drowning. I had to figure out what the hell I was doing, what the hell I was going to do next, but all I could think about was how I had fucked everything up. I took one last drag of the cigarette, feeling the acrid smoke filling my lungs before I crushed the butt in the ashtray. The bitter taste lingered in my mouth as I stepped out of the car, my footsteps heavy as I made my way into the house. My mind was a tangled mess. The house was quiet, the kind of silence that pressed in on you from all sides. I climbed the stairs 2 at a time, my mind already fixed on Ariana. When I reached her bedroom door, I pushed it open. half expecting to find her asleep or sitting on the edge of the bed, lost in thought. But the room was empty. The only sound was the steady hiss of the shower running in the bathroom. I walked into the room, my eyes drawn to the large photo frame on the wall. Skyler's image stared back at me, her eyes holding secrets I'd never thought I'd uncover. My jaw clenched so tightly it ached. The address Tony had sent was still vivid in my mind, and the urge to get on a jet and go crush her soul out was overwhelming. But something kept me rooted to the spot. I forced myself to turn away from the photo and headed toward the bathroom. As I stepped inside, Ariana was stepping out of the shower, her hair wet and clinging to her shoulders. She froze for a moment, startled by my presence, her eyes wide with surprise. Then, as if catching herself, she quickly grabbed a towel and wrapped it around her body. I expected her to lash out, to demand her privacy, to scream at me for barging in uninvited. Instead, her face contorted in disgust as she spoke. "Could you please leave? You're killing me." She gagged slightly, her hand flying up to cover her mouth, as if my presence was making her sick. I wanted to be angry, to feel that familiar rage that had driven me for so long, but all I felt was confusion, a nagging sense of something I didn't want to admit to myself. I snapped my head away, clenching my fists. "What the fuck is wrong with me?" I muttered under my breath, furious with myself for the sudden softness I felt. I turned on my heels, ready to leave, but something made me pause. I spun back around, my eyes locking onto hers. "The child you're carrying," I started, my voice low and firm. "It's mine. You don't have any other man's seed in you. It's only mine." I didn't wait for her response as I turned and strode out of the bathroom and out of the bedroom. I pushed open the door to my office and stumbled inside, heading straight for the liquor cabinet. I grabbed the bottle of whiskey and poured a glass, not caring that the liquid sloshed over the sides. I downed it in one gulp, the burn in my throat grounding me, if only for a moment. I jolted awake, the sound of something shattering reverberating through my office. I blinked against the harsh light streaming into my office, my head pounding from the whiskey I'd consumed. Empty bottles littered the desk in front of me, and I could feel the weight of the night pressing down on my shoulders. I rubbed my face, trying to shake off the grogginess, but the sharp sound echoed in my mind, forcing me to snap to attention. Instincts took over as I reached for the drawer, my fingers closing around my gun. Without hesitation, I rose from my chair and made my way out of the office. My movements were quick, purposeful as I descended down the stairs, my senses on high alert. As I reached the entrance, I noticed my men gathered outside, their faces tense, but not alarmed. My grip on the gun tightened as I stepped out into the cool morning air, my eyes darting around, searching for any sign of an intruder. "What the hell is going on? Are we under attack?" I asked, my voice sharp. One of the men, Eric, stepped forward, shaking his head quickly. "No, boss. There's no attack." I narrowed my gaze, the adrenaline still surging through my veins. "Then what was that noise?" I asked, lowering my gun slightly. Eric motioned toward the ground, where shards of glass and pieces of a shattered wooden frame lay scattered across the gravel. "It's the picture from your wife's room, boss. She threw it out of the window." I followed Tony's pointing hand up to Ariana's open window, the early morning breeze gently stirring the curtains. Anger tightened my jaw. What on earth is wrong with that woman? I thought, seething. Without a word, I spun on my heel and stormed back into the house, heading directly for her room. The door swung open with a forceful push, and there she was, tidying the bed with focused efficiency. Before I could unleash my fury, she turned to me, her face calm, her eyes almost serene, as if my anger was of no concern to her. "Good morning, husband," she greeted, her voice soft and composed as if nothing had happened. She stepped closer, closing the distance between us. Before I could react, she rose onto her toes and pressed her lips to mine in a quick, unexpected kiss. As she pulled back slightly, a smile curled on her lips. I stood frozen, my anger momentarily forgotten as I stared at her in stunned silence. "What do you think you're doing?" I finally managed to ask, my voice rough with the remnants of my earlier fury. Her gaze dropped to the gun still clenched tightly in my hand. She took a small step back, her smile wavering slightly. "Could you put that away, husband? The baby doesn't like it."